Come on, you got this. Let's rise, let's shine.
Hi everybody, welcome to another Empowered Women Positive Impact Project interview. So that's a lot of words. So today I'd like to introduce you to Melissa Johnston from 4 Reasons Disability Services. If you're not familiar with the NDIS, it's an Australian disability and it's an Australian scheme for people who live with a disability. That's about all I'm going to say about it right now. So you can Google NDIS if you like to learn more about it. But at the end of the day, the focus here is about Mel and her business. And Mel, if you'd like to introduce yourself, let the listeners and viewers know a bit about your business and why you started your business.
Sure, thanks for having me, Jacqui. So I am the director over here at 4 Reasons Disability Services. We are a niche of psychosocial disability and mental health. So we work with all the good hard stuff. I think for me, I've been in the space for about 13 years now. Started off as a support worker and worked my way up, and I was frustrated with the level of care that wasn't provided to the people. Also along my way, I seen the gaps, and what people weren't receiving. And it was, I suppose that was playing on my mind through that 13 years. And I thought, I kind of knew in the background that probably at some point I would start my own business. I just needed to get to that point where I was frustrated enough to say, okay, no, time is now. I also wanted to build something different. I didn't want to be the same as others. So our service is grounded in respect, dignity, and genuine connection. That's what it's all about. Our people, we hear it all the time. For the first time, they've felt heard and supported in ways that they never have before. And we're in our 3rd year of business, and we have people, like we have a couple of participants that have been with us since day one. They just haven't left because, they don't want to go anywhere. The big driving force for me obviously was the psychosocial space, and people with complex mental health. What I seen was that they were falling through the gaps, and they still do, and they're either labelled as too hard, and in my opinion, what that comes to, that they're not too hard. What that comes back to primarily is that people just don't know how to work with them. And I speak to providers all the time and let them know how dangerous it is supporting people with complex mental health issues. Because, it doesn't just look like a day of support. There's trauma there. Yeah, it's embedded in there. And if you're not trained in mental health, what are you doing to that person while you're supporting them? Yeah, you're talking to them about a number of things, but then you go home and they start to process those conversations that they've had during the day, and that's where the danger sets in. So we train everything from the ground up here.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I have seen some of the tools that you've put in place too for your staff, so that if they do need a bit more support, you can actually do that as part of that onboarding, but also that ongoing support. So that's really amazing. And you can hear your passion, especially being mental health, that for a lot of people, I think there's three areas where there's people that know how challenging it can be, but go into it meeting people where they're at. They've got the education, they've got the experience. I then think that there's also the people that think it's really easy and it's a walk in a park. you know, my uncle's got bipolar, or my auntie's got it, or my grandmother, or yeah, I know what schizophrenia is like, but not everybody's the same, and it doesn't show up the same, and the triggers are different. It's like neurodiversity, right? Like,
Yeah.
two people with ADHD can present very differently.
And that's what I say too. Like, you know, there's how many kids have I got? I've got 4. There's 5 of us, yeah. And so I was a late diagnosis in ADHD, autism, as an adult. So there's 5 of us, and none of us are the same. None of us are on the same medication. You know, we're just not the same. We're just all different, and that's the other thing here too. When we onboard new staff, I've told the girls, like, I don't care if you're here for, if you've been in the space for 30 years or 5 minutes, you're going to learn it that way. You're going to learn it our way, because that's what I'm about, yeah. And I think as well for the business, what it goes back to is, I haven't shared my personal story, but I'm about to branch out into that sometime soon. But I haven't had a drink or a drug for 11 years, you know. So
Congratulations!
that's where it all comes.
Let's
That's where it
and
comes
celebrate
from.
that.
That's what it all comes from, as you know, as well. Now, like, people look at me, you know, I'm a DV survivor. You know, life's really lifed me. And here we are, and I suppose that's where the passion's at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do really want to celebrate you for how far you've come.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a good life.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do know that sometimes I'll say, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, Mel. What do you think? And you'll say, well, what have you got to lose?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm definitely the risk taker. Yeah. I'm a risk taker. So, you know, obviously Jordan operates, my eldest daughter is, you know, she manages the business here, and we always butt heads because, you know, she's so structured and planned, and I'm just not. Like, it's just, when I do it, doesn't matter. At least then, like, you know, I've tried, you know, and that'll always be where I sit, you know. At least I tried, and okay, if it works, that's great, and if it doesn't, then that's okay too.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect lead into the ISOARe personality profile quiz. So, a little bit like Natalia, who I had on not long ago, I went through some of it with you, but you were on the phone, and so the business one, and then I got you to do it in the new format, and it was the same result. And when we did it, could you just share with people what your first reaction or response was when we went through things for the business? We'll talk about the personal one in a second, but for the business.
That was funny, because, yeah, I still remember that. So it was kind of, I think from memory, I was kind of the guinea pig kind of thing, and we were just talking about stuff, and it was like, well, I've got this thing, and you know, how about we try it on you? And I said, yeah, no worries. And I still can't remember but you probably would. But when we done it, whatever. So for people that aren't aware, I've thought of before I started the business, I thought about the business. So, and I, even back to our logo, it's a butterfly. I don't know if we're a bit high, but that's it.
Yep,
so
we can see it now.
And the butterfly is all the colours in the butterfly psychological colours, because that's, again, back to mental health, and that was my thinking when I developed the logo with a friend at the time. You know, he said to me, "What do you think about these colours? They're psychological, blah blah blah." And then obviously being 4 reasons is because I've got 4 kids with different abilities, so that's the kids. And then when we were talking about it, all of those headings of what the business came back to colours in the butterfly. So it was really, it was a wow moment.
Yeah, because at that time I didn't know that full story, and I hadn't paid that close attention to. I knew you had a butterfly, but I really hadn't got into it all with you. So when we were going through it, and I said to you, so I really feel like, because you got Relationship Builder and you got that when you did it online as well as your number one. And without giving too much away, butterfly is one of the things around relationship builders. And we're like,
Yeah.
it just, and then we went into the colors a little bit more and things like that. So I do want to share though, for the business one, your second one is adventurer, which fits into you. Yeah, let's just do it. You know, because adventurer doesn't mean jumping out of planes and things like that. Adventurer means like we'll just give it a go.
Yeah, and that's very much me. It's obviously, you know, it's not really public knowledge yet, but it will be soon. And I think, you know, I have shared it with some close friends. I have another
Just
business.
hold on just one sec there, Mel. Just have to disappear just 1 minute.
Yeah.
So sorry about that technical difficulties. We're back.
Yeah, I've got another business in the back of my head that it's actually really a dream of mine to put out and open. So I think on that, yeah, I'm just thinking about that. And I've forgotten what else I was thinking about then before I said that.
I'm so sorry for that interruption. It was just
All
I
right.
couldn't hear you with the background noise. So for everybody that I'll see what happens when we finish this. Okay, so so your project and the next part of your business, which not a lot of people know about, it's going to take that adventurer energy for that.
Yeah, it is.
And you did the personal, like the individual one as well. And this, and I'd love to talk to this a little bit more. Is, do you remember what you got? I've got it here if you don't.
No, I need to write them down. I always forget.
Yeah, so you got optimistic as number one. And so that's what you would have seen. And then innovator is number two.
That's right.
When people have their own business, right, and they have, like, so you got relationship builder, and that makes perfect sense because you're working with people, you're helping them bring out the best of them, you're really working with the individual as they are, and then maybe helping them make other connections. So it's really bringing people together, and the right people, and the way you do it in your business is different, but it works and it's what people love. But in your personal life, and a little bit of optimism flows into your business as well, but in your personal life, I see that what you've overcome has taught you a lot. And being an optimistic is really about what does that look like in, you know, for you and personally, and then that can help be a driver in your business as well. So, and definitely creating new things.
Yeah, it's good. I love it.
Yeah, thank you. We will take you through your unique success code at some point. But we're for those that are watching and don't really know, Mel and I, both having ADHD, sometimes booking things is getting us in the same place at the same time is a little more of a challenge. But, you know, we made it here today. So, Mel, what would be a win in, you can either go business or you can go personal, but just one win that you'd like to share with people to help them know that there's hope or there's.
I think for me that's it's funny because this line of work always gets personal for me, being that they're where I've been, do you know? And I think and with a lot of my people, I share that stuff. It's important for me to share that with them, because you wouldn't look at me and think, 11 years ago I was homeless, lost the care of my kids, and had nobody or nothing, Um, and I think that's the little part of hope, So I think when I'm talking about, people that have challenges in the AOD space, and keep relapsing in that. We've just had one that's got nearly 6 months up clean and hasn't. Oh, it's been I think that person's now at like day 11, and that's the longest in probably the last month that they've had. So seeing that, and like watching them reconnect, with their goals, their routine, believing in themselves again, and for me, and I teach it to my people here as well. It's not just about it. We don't have KPIs. Yeah, it's not. We are not outcome focused. It's not about that. What it's about is absolutely the wins. Do you know? That's what we strive for, because like I've got my life back together, and that's what I thrive on. Being able to mentor, if you will, those people that to get them to the same space as where I am, and just to be able to sit down and I've got another participant that's been with me since the start, and just to be able, a BPD self-harmer, and just to be able to sit with them and let them know that I was once there and now I'm here, and they kind of, it just takes on a new meaning. They look up to that and they strive to be that, and it does give them hope, and they're like, well, maybe one time I can be where you are, and I think that's the thing. Like my journey has definitely shaped this business with what I've seen firsthand with people's lives. And even navigating trauma and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like people, I actually can't believe that, especially when we hire, it's like, obviously in our questions, it's trauma based. And, so you say to a person, can you tell me, what does trauma mean to you? But I can't believe that people aren't educated on re-traumatization, right? Like that gets time. There's a lot of people that know about trauma, but when you get to what is re-traumatization, they actually can't answer that. And I'm like, how can't you answer that? Because that's huge. Like you can't jump into you shouldn't jump into a trauma space if you don't know re-traumatization. People don't understand that that's as simple as a smell or a sight or a touch or a sound, and if you don't know those triggers, how are you supporting somebody,
Exactly. And it's the same with people that live with like autism traits, or like any neurodivergent traits, and it's like the person may know their triggers, but they might not be able to articulate them in a way that other people understand. But I see this a lot in the disability sector, and I'm just going to be mindful, but like I see it a lot, as in I can work with people with autism, and then they have they're questioned. They don't even do a proper intake or onboarding to say, okay, so that's great, tell me more about you and what you want to achieve and all the boxes, but they don't ask them what their trigger is. So somebody might feel overwhelmed with a lot of noise, and they go, come on, let's go to the movies. a lot of noise, like, but they don't understand what overwhelm can mean to a person. And then that trigger can then lead into a person behaving in a particular way, which then people don't know how to get them out of. And I know one day, I was with somebody, and she has autism. She gives permission for me to share this story, but she didn't things didn't kind of go her way with the appointment that we had. And excuse my stomach growling. And she stepped outside, and so I kind of wrapped up that appointment. I went out to find her sitting in the middle of the road, holding up the traffic, and she was just sitting in the middle of this road, like rocking. And I said to her, because we had already had the discussion, and I said, well, we're going to need to get you to a safe space. Then you can sit in your safe space physically and emotionally. So for right now, I do need you to get up. But we'd had the conversation that in certain circumstances or certain situations, I could speak to her very firmly and directly. But in other times, I would just hold the space. But she was triggered. I knew she was triggered. We tried to de-escalate. It didn't work. Like, it was a lot of work. But for her, this took her a week to get over this one thing. And she said to me, I was one of the first people that had actually taken the time, one, to understand it, and two, to check in with her and understand that if she didn't respond or told me where to go, it wasn't personal.
Yeah, agree. And a lot of people don't understand with, people with ADHD trauma and autism is that they actually go mute, when they get in that fight or flight, and they go mute and they can't communicate, and it's about allowing that time, for the processing of the brain to come out of that and say, okay, like, we're actually safe now. Now let's think about that and what's happened, and let's deal with that.
And finding out. And that's why when people don't do, especially those that are working with people with the disability, when they don't do a proper intake of that person and hearing what that person wants, not what they think they should. You and I, as we've shared, both have ADHD, but we approach things very differently. But we also, at the same time, get each other. Like, just pure because.
Just for that too, I that's another thing that, like, we're all about spice in here. When we onboard staff, the first thing we say is, we just want you just come who you are, whoever you are, that's what we want, because that's the other thing out there. Like, I've spent so many years in corporate offices having to dress, a certain way, act a certain way, it's not what I want in here. If I've been to the gym and I'm going to see someone, they're going to see me in my activewear. Like, it's just, so we're all about that as well. I think that's the other thing that I've wanted to create here. Like, I want it to be a place where people come and they're like, I'm home. We're home.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your business, and I love about your approach. So for Mel's business, we're going to put the link in the description. So wherever you see this video, you can check the description. She is Victorian based, so Melbourne based. You can visit the website. You can give Mel or Jordan a call. Their details are all on their website, so you can just reach out that way. Mel, if you would, and also just to let people know, is that with my book Empowered Woman, Mel is mentioned in the book, and I share with you how I see her as an empowered woman in that book. And this is only a small part of empowerment and the amazingness that not just Mel but her entire team bring to the people that they work with. And I'm so excited for the next thing that you're bringing out as well. Like, we're not going to give all that away. People just have to keep following Mel. Hey?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
yeah, I'm excited for that. Now, the other thing, Mel, is just as we wrap this up, what message would you give to the younger version of you knowing what you know today? And
Oh
you can
God.
pick any age.
I think for me, what would I say to the younger version? I think what I think about when I think about that is, I would have hugged her
Mm,
and I would have told her that she's okay.
mm,
And I would have told her that she's safe. And I would have told her that she's not abnormal. She's totally normal. I would have told her that she's not crazy. I would have told her that the journey she's going to be on, she's going to change lives. I would have told her that when God decides to take her off this earth and she closes her eyes for her last time, that there's going to be so many people there watching her. Everyone's going to say how she was a fierce advocate, that she fought fiercely. And I think for the last part, I would tell her that I'm super, super proud.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Think of that little girl every day.
That is, so
And she's 100% who leads me every day. Yeah. And
I love
she's
it.
so, and she's finally, that little girl is finally at peace now, that she knows that life took her where it took her. And here we are.
That is beautiful.
Mm.
That is, yeah.
That's what,
I love
I
it.
suppose. And that's the thing as well. That's why, I'm all about working on your trauma and stuff because, I suppose they're the stuff you're able to tell that little girl or little guy or whatever it is, that little person,
That
when
younger you.
when you're finally at peace and when you're finally where you need to be in your life, that's when you can have discussions with that little person that was all kinds of messed up. Yeah. And it wasn't, we always have to remember too, like it's not that little person's fault. Yeah. It's the world. And this is what I've always said to my, I call him my bitzer because he's got a bit of everything and he's 18 this year. And I've always said to him, I'll be your voice until you can find your own. And I've always said to him, remember that you don't have to fit into the world. Yeah. The world needs to adjust to you. The world needs to adjust to you. It is not the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Unlike
that becomes
right.
Yeah. And while we're trying to adjust and whatever, unfortunately with that comes a fight, but it is what it is, I was talking to him on the weekend and he's the autistic in him. So he's just took a love to the gym. God love him. And he's written his own training plan, right? Because that's what autistic do, don't they? They excel at something until they get it. So I'm super proud of him at the moment. And we were talking on the weekend about girls and he was talking about, because he's never had any friends, and he's like, well, we're talking about partners and whatever, and he's like, well, I don't know if I'll ever meet somebody, and I said, you will, mate. Well, how will I? Like, where do I go? How do I meet him? And I said, it doesn't matter. Like, you will meet your person when you're meant to meet them in the place that you're meant to meet them at.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for today, Mel. I really appreciate you being here. And as I said, for those of you that are looking for those disability supports that do focus on mental health and trauma, check out 4 Reasons Disability. Keep your eye out for the book Empowered Woman that is coming out in May, and follow Mel on social media, or 4 Reasons on social media. But yeah, it's been great having you here. I always love our chats. They're always pretty cool.
They are.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Jack.
Shrinking